host, different co-host. Who are you? Why are you here?
Wayne Goldsworthy. I'm here because I'm poor.
Okay, aren't we all? We have a show that you get to decide if it's action-packed or not. If you recall, last week on Live, as I just broke the pen, last week on Live, we did grading teams free agency. I talked too much, so we decided we are going to split it off at halfway, and right here we have the other half ready to go. March Madness is into the Final Four, men's and women's. And then some different talk about the NFL draft and how that's going to unfold. So we have all that to cover here today on Talking About Balls. First off, Wayne, how are you doing on this not so beautiful Tuesday in our neck of the woods?
Pretty good. Pretty rainy outside. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How many likes on this video, guys, to get Wayne on the TV?
Kill yourself.
1,000,000. All right, so let's get right into it. Free agency is basically done. Carson Wentz got signed to the Chiefs, which
Dude,
doesn't.
Patrick Mahomes, watch out, buddy. You're gonna be. Go to the Shanghai Sharks, man.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to cut Mahomes and give Kadarius Toney a $500 million contract, making moves to get Kadarius Toney the ball. That's what you got to do. So here we go. Second half. Let's do a little bit of a recap. A quick recap in a couple of seconds here. We did the first 16 teams. Cardinals, we gave a C minus. Atlanta B plus. Ravens A minus. Buffalo C plus. Panthers C minus. Bears A plus. Bengals B minus. Browns C. Cowboys D. Denver D minus. Detroit A plus. Green Bay A plus. Houston A plus. Indianapolis B plus. Jacksonville D. And Kansas City D plus. So now
That says C.
C plus, whatever. We have the final 16 teams in alphabetical order to dive into. First one is the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that has made some moves. Antonio Pierce, I've said a long time on this show, not a guy that strikes me as a guy that wants to sit around and rebuild. He wants to reload, and he did it really great in his first free agency. Christian Wilkins, 4 years, $110 million, a lot of money, but they had to pay it. Gardner Minshew is a solid enough bridge QB that almost led the Colts to the playoffs this past year. Some other players as well. Alexander Madison on the team, which Gus Edwards signed as well. Just putting a couple of pieces together. But the big thing here is, of course, Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins on the same defensive line. And it's pretty clear,
Great combo.
obviously.
Get your speed rusher and
You
your power
got
rusher.
to get pressure to the two top QBs in the division. If you want to make a run at the playoffs, it has to go through the division first. And when you're playing Mahomes twice a year and you're playing Herbert twice a year, you need defensive line help bad. So I like the call. I had the Raiders as mock to get a defensive lineman, which now
Yeah, so did I.
at this point it's probably not going to happen, which is good for the Raiders. They can focus on more pressing needs,
Like a
whether
quarterback.
that's a QB, whether they stick with Gardner Minshew and do something, get more offensive line help, secondary help, and whatnot. But the Raiders last year were an interesting team. Aiden O'Connell, it's clear he's not the guy. That's why they went out, got Minshew on a
It's
nice.
because Jimmy Garoppolo's the guy.
He's not even on the team.
You said last year.
Yeah.
That was the joke.
They had no QBs last year. It's clear this team has talent. Of course, they lost Josh Jacobs, which what are you going to do about it? Antonio Pierce has a lot of confidence in Zamir White, their rookie running back. We'll see what he can do. But my grade here, it's not perfect because, of course, if they would have brought back Josh Jacobs, you look at the free agency as a much better haul. But still Christian Wilkins, and they can have their identity. Teams in this division have the identity. Mahomes in Kansas City, they air it out, play defense identity. Chargers are going to have an identity with Jim Harbaugh. Offensive line, tight end. The Raiders have to have an identity. They have to know what they're going to do. Antonio Pierce, defensive guy. It is going to be the defensive line. That's where it's going to start in the end for the Raiders. So they got one of the big fish free agents, and anytime you do that, I don't care how much you pay for them. It's a good grade. I'm going to give the Raiders an A minus out the gate.
For me, I will be giving the Raiders a flat B. Great signing with Christian Wilkins to pair with Max Crosby, like you said. They have some more needs that they need to get, but draft is coming up. I feel like they could definitely get something in the draft that'll help them out. Like you said, O-line, secondary, defensive help.
Pick 13 for the Las Vegas Raiders coming up in the NFL draft. And it's coming around quicker than I've expected. I mean, we're 3.5 weeks away from the draft, so we'll have a mock draft coming up one of those next couple of weeks, discussing some of the more prospects in depth today. But let's move on to the next team, the Los Angeles Rams. This was a team that at the end of the season last year caught fire. We're almost able to beat the Lions, but at the beginning they did struggle, and this feels like a team that a lot of people are not going to have in the playoffs next year. This feels like an operation in the Rams that is kind of falling. No, I wouldn't say falling apart, but I would say it might have been a fluke season last year. Do you feel that way for the Rams? Are they stable enough to make the playoffs again? Just lost Aaron Donald, of course.
I felt like it was a little bit of both. I felt like offense had a good season, but I feel like that only really happened was because Puka Nacua broke out, Kyron Williams broke out.
They got him coming back, and he'll probably be.
I feel like
expected to be better,
they'll probably finish like 8-9, 9-8, 7-10.
The moves they made, they invested in the offensive line, which I think is great. $96 million at the offensive line. Kevin Dodson, Jonah Jackson, two fine players. They didn't go out and make a splash. Jimmy Garoppolo is a backup quarterback. I think it's a really good move for them. With Matt Stafford's injury history. Well, Jimmy G's never going to be the starter.
Oh, no, I know
but
that.
Matt Stafford, there's a good chance he might get injured.
Stafford's also like 36 or something.
Yeah, he might get injured. It doesn't move the needle enough for me for the Raiders, or the Rams. It's okay, right? Not every team has to go out and make a big splash free agent and decide that they're going all in, because the Rams have been there and done that. It was fine. They spent money. They kept their core guys, except, of course, from Aaron Donald. It's a C- for me. It doesn't move the needle. I think they didn't get worse, but other teams around them got better.
Damn. Yeah, I'll be giving the Rams a flat C.
C.
Exactly what you ended on there was what I was gonna say. Is they helped their team out to the best of their ability, but other teams got better around them, and they're still in the NFC West, which is a tough division.
Yeah, you got to run through San Francisco and
Seattle, the Cardinals, which,
I think they did enough. But yeah, honestly, if I look at all the teams in the NFC West, if you tell me confidence for the next 3 years to go win a Super Bowl, of course, San Fran, probably Arizona at number 2, with the high pick and Marvin Harrison coming in potentially, Kyler Murray, a young team there, then Seattle, and then the Rams. The Rams feel like an operation that is okay right now. It's like a machine that it's doing fine right now, or like a car that's doing fine right now, but you got that loose wheel in the back tire that I'm pushing it every time I hit on the gas pedal. That's what the Rams feel like to me right now. C-, it's enough. It's okay. They didn't overspend. In a free agency, they've overspent a lot in the past, so you can't overspend every year. Miami Dolphins. This is a team that lost a lot of players in the secondary in the offseason, but they also made a lot of signings, and it kind of balances it out. And I had an A- written down on my board, but thinking of the players they lost, Xavier Howard they lost, Christian Wilkins
didn't do much at all.
Lost Christian Wilkins, lost a bunch of players. The weapons are still there offensively, but there's no question about the offense for the Miami Dolphins. Nobody's saying,
they
they
still
can't
have
win
Braxton Berrios, so they're good.
Offense, do they?
Yep.
Okay, I don't know.
Braxton Berrios will carry.
They made enough signings. Jordan Brooks, $10 million a year. Jordan Poyer helps him out. Shaq Barrett, whatnot. No needle movers here, which again is fine. But I think the loss of Xavier Howard and the loss of Christian Wilkins, who of course Wilkins will hurt more. This is grading their entirety of their free agency. It's enough for me to give them a B-.
Yeah, for me, I'll be giving the Dolphins a B. Like you said, they lost some decent amount of players. Christian Wilkins is a big loss, considering it didn't look like they had a lot of pressure last year. And now it's kind of became a little bit worse, depending on what they do in the draft coming up. Some decent signings. Giannis Smith's going to be good. Kind of needed a tight end. But besides that,
it fills up their need.
Going to get a B.
Fills up their need at tight ends. Another weapon that Johnny Smith, not incredible.
I mean, just run jet sweeps to your
Yeah, that's what I would do. But with all the weapons Miami has, he should be able to flourish while the defenses don't put much on him. So let's move on to my Minnesota Vikings, a team that had an interesting free agency. This is a team that probably had the most questions coming into free agency. Would you agree? Because the
Close,
number one
yeah.
player is
I
Kirk
mean,
Cousins in free agency, and he went to the Atlanta Falcons. First off, on that matter, I like the move by Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. They said Kirk is fine. He's fine. I mentioned it yesterday on our podcast. I've mentioned it a long time. Fine doesn't get you anywhere in the NFL. Fine will get you a first round exit, 10 wins, blah blah blah. And in the NFL, there's one winner, there's 31 losers. So you want to shoot for the stars. And I think this move by Minnesota to reset their clock, get another first round pick from Houston, get a rookie quarterback, whether it's J.J. McCarthy, whether it is Drake May, small chance of Jaden Daniels, I doubt that, whether it's Penix or whether it's Bo Nix, if they want to, draft somebody at pick 23, which I think they'll trade up.
No.
Whether it's
Who's the
Spencer
Tulane
Rattler.
quarterback?
I don't know. But they made enough moves. They made enough moves for the players that they've lost. Of course, Daniel Hunter, the big fish, and then Kirk Cousins, two guys that have got huge contracts. Jonathan Greenard, who had 12 and a half sacks last year. I'm going to be completely honest. I really didn't know who the guy was until the Vikings signed him. Looked at his stats, and he's a 12 and a half sack guy, 26 years old, in a Brian Flores defense that has gotten a lot better.
Flourish.
Blake Cashman, a good linebacker.
He's like
Edger Van Ginkel, they paid
Blake
$10 million
reminds me of
to.
Brian Cushing without the roid rage.
Sam Darnold, they got $10 million to, and then Aaron Jones is a good signing for $7 million. So they add another dimension to their team with Aaron Jones, which I would have liked to give the reins to Ty Chandler, their running back, who in limited amount of times played pretty well. I give the Minnesota Vikings an A- on free agency.
I will be giving the Vikings a B+.
B+?
For the loss, gain is pretty equivalent.
Yeah.
But what kind of puts them over the edge was the contracts. Daniil Hunter was probably going to want a lot. Kirk Cousins probably wanted a lot. And he got a lot when he went to Atlanta, which kind of helps the Vikings in the future for salary reasons. Better free agents, pay the people who aren't that old.
They didn't overreact, and they didn't overpay. Too many
They didn't
times.
come down under the pressure.
Sometimes
that gets worded.
too many times fold under pressure.
Yeah, sure.
Too
we'll
many
do
times teams make an offer that isn't good just because they're afraid of losing the player. Minnesota didn't do that, right? I'm sure they could have offered more for Kirk and Daniel Hunter, but they said, "Listen, are these guys cornerstone pieces
They're aging.
that are going to help us win a Super Bowl in 5-10 years?" No, they reset
We'll
the
never win a
clock.
Super Bowl.
They reset the clock, which I think is the number one thing in all of this, is being able to reset the clock, being able to start anew, because I've said a billion times, you can believe in Kirk Cousins, but at the end of the day, he's never going to go win you a Super Bowl. A- for me, B+ for him.
Yes.
The New England Patriots didn't do much. I mean,
It really comes down for the Patriots free agency is what they do in the draft.
Michael Wenanu, they bring back. Hunter Henry, they bring back.
Yeah.
They signed Anthony Jennings. They get Kyle Duggar for $14 million. They signed Jacoby Brissett to actually a big deal at $8 million a year. Kendrick Bourne, $6 million. Antonio Gibson, and not much. They didn't do anything, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it for New England. They understand they're not in a position to win right now. They don't nearly.
They're in the rebuilding phase.
They don't nearly have the players to go compete for really anything. So why spend money when it's just going to be dead money? It's a C-. It's not bad. Like, if you just look at the base thing for New England as they didn't get anybody, you can look at that and say, yeah, it's not that good. But sometimes you don't need to get everybody. You can't spend a lot of money every year.
For me, Patriots get a flat C. Didn't do much. Did about as average as any other team. Got some positions that you're going to need. But besides that, didn't really do much. There's not much they really can do, but
the New Orleans Saints.
Mardi Gras. Yeah, that's coming up in May, actually.
Is it now? I thought it already came.
I don't know when Mardi Gras is. Oh, I'm thinking of Cinco de Mayo. What the hell was my dumbass?
I think it's already past Mardi Gras. Anyway,
We're
the Saints did enough. Chase Young on a 1-year deal is good. They bring back Tyrann Mathieu. They get Willie Gay, which I thought was a great signing at only $5 million a year. Bring back Demario Davis. Another team that's just kind of stuck, right? I wouldn't be mad at the New Orleans Saints if they wanted to sell everybody this year.
Oh shit! Actually, yeah, it was on February 13th.
I wouldn't be mad at the Saints if they wanted to sell everybody and put all the chips in the next couple of years. But they stay stagnant, and this is a Saints team that since Drew Brees is gone has been stagnant, and they can't get out of that phase. Derek Carr's not going to do anything for you. We understand that much. But they made enough moves that for the future, Chase Young could be a good player for them in the future along with Willie Gay. So you got to start somewhere. In the NFC South, which is still weak, stronger than what we expected last year, but still it's a weak division. I would give the New Orleans Saints a B-.
I will give them a C+. Not much. You're in a weak division. You were in a weak division this year. You kind of figure out that the Bucs are good. Falcons getting a new coach will be good. Panthers are still the Panthers. They're kind of straggling a little bit behind.
A little bit. Yeah.
But I feel like the Saints didn't do much to win the division. I feel like they will probably finish second or third. Doesn't seem like enough to win that division.
It's another case where they didn't get worse, but teams around them got better with Kirk Cousins and with the Bucs kind of keeping the core together, which Tampa Bay, you have to readjust your expectations as they're supposed to be a playoff team this upcoming year.
And most likely will.
The New York Giants saved their free agency, in my opinion. They lost Saquon Barkley, which a necessary evil to the Philadelphia Eagles. It stings a lot.
You're dead to me.
It stings.
You're dead to us.
It stings a lot more that he went to the Eagles
Tiki Barber
rather than any other team.
Not in the NFC East.
But the trade for Brian Burns was an absolute steal. And you unfamiliar with the situation, the Rams offered 2 first-round picks in October for Brian Burns.
I thought that was 2 years ago. I thought that was in 2022.
I don't know.
I think it was.
And the Panthers said no, and at the end of the day, they get him for a second and a fifth. Signs a big 5-year, $150 million deal.
It must have been in 2022 because that's when they were selling out to go win the Super Bowl.
The Panthers?
No. The Rams. When they gave up their...
So, now, I mentioned with the Raiders, you have to have an identity. And that's the same thing with the Giants. They have an identity with Dexter Lawrence, with Kayvon Thibodeau, and now with Brian Burns. The defensive line is the strong suit of this team. John Runyon, they get Drew Lock as a backup / starter. Devin Singletary in a 1-year deal, which I think is a really good replacement. He ran real well
He's
for
like
the Texans.
Saquon, but better.
He is, I would say so. And then Jalen Mills, which... but the big thing, of course, is Brian Burns. And the Giants, you look at them, and you can talk yourself into the Giants. And then you hit a roadblock.
And then you're like, oh, our quarterback.
And you hit the roadblock that is Daniel Jones, and that is the $40 million contract. And then the discussion falls on its head.
And then it shoots you in the foot, and then,
So, overall, for free agency, I'm not going to give them a bad grade because of Daniel Jones. That's something they did before.
Yeah.
You made your bed, sleep in it, right? They've done enough.
A bed full of dying animals. I don't know.
To set themselves...
a bed full of killer diseases.
With Brian Burns being a 5-year deal, he's going to be there in the long run, probably when Daniel Jones isn't not your quarterback. It's a B+ for me for the New York Giants.
I will be giving the Giants a B-. They really didn't do much. For them to try to compete in the NFC East with the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Well, not everybody needs to compete. All 32 teams are trying to compete.
But at the same time, in the next 4 or 5 years, Eagles are going to be good. Cowboys are going to be good. And they're probably going to stay with the same roster that they have for most of their players.
Yeah.
Giants didn't make a big push in free agency, I feel like.
I feel like Brian Burns is a big push.
Yes, but he's aging and he's not that good.
Everybody ever is aging.
Oh my god, he's like 30. I don't know.
He's
I don't know how old he is.
24. 24, 25. Everybody's aging. This isn't Madden that when you hit 29, you start regressing. I mean,
that's what most people do.
Everybody is aging ever.
No way, really?
So
Actually,
you can use that to pay for every single person on this list. Why would you sign him?
It just wasn't a big push for the Giants. They're still going to be crappy this year. They'll be crappy the year after that.
I think it's a good enough push. B+ for me. Moving on to my favorite free agency, my highest grade, the New York Football Jets. A+, 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 A+. They didn't have many holes, and they filled them.
Yeah, their O-line had many holes.
Tyron Smith on a 1-year deal, huge, to protect Aaron Rodgers. And now Mike Williams from the Los Angeles Chargers, also huge. That now Aaron Rodgers has Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams in the 3 games he'll play, Breece Hall, and an offensive line. And don't get me started about the defense. My God, the defense. It might be the best in the NFL. The New York Jets are ready to win a Super Bowl this year. They were ready to win it last year. Aaron Rodgers, of course.
Yeah, but Mekhi Becton was their offensive tackle, so...
My pick to win the Super Bowl last year was the Jets.
And Cowboys.
And Cowboys.
See how far the Cowboys got.
Better than the Broncos.
Shut the hell up. I had the Broncos over the Jets. Guess what? Broncos did better than the... No, I don't know if they actually...
I don't think they did. It was close, but you damn well know if it was legit how not close it would be.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But the Jets...
Because I believed in Sean Payton. What an idiot.
The Jets were not good last year. Or, excuse me. What was I saying?
But, I mean, they weren't, considering Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they weren't good last year. The Jets were not good last year. I don't know. It's a scary combo over a team that's picking at number 10, have offensive line help. They can still get another receiver, can get like Brock Bowers or somebody at tight end with Aaron Rodgers. I'm glad the Jets did not overreact. They kept Saleh. They kept the defensive coordinator, Greg Williams. They kept Woody Johnson, who I think is actually the owner, so why wouldn't you not keep him? So the Jets didn't freak out. They understand it was a fluke season. They got the moves they wanted. A+ for the Jets.
I will also be giving the Jets an A+. They filled in the holes they needed with O-line. The defense got better. You know, pretty much explained everything, so.
Good take by me. Thank you. The Philadelphia Eagles make
take all my words away.
Make another splash in free agency with different signings.
I'm giving him an A-. I don't know.
Saquon Barkley, Bryce Huff. They get C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. Brandon Graham's back.
Brandon Graham's not back. I thought he retired.
No,
that was Fletcher. No, yeah, that was Fletcher Cox. My bad.
They take in Landon Dickerson back again, and then they bring in Kenny Pickett. This is for me.
Kenny Pickett might be their franchise quarterback. I think that's all they needed to win it.
For me, it's an A-. I like the Kenny Pickett move. I'll tell you why. The Eagles.
It brings a new quarterback to the system who will lead them to a Super Bowl.
The Eagles have made it clear that they want to go get backup QBs. This is not the first time they do it. This is not the last time they did it. Nick Foles won him a damn Super Bowl in 2017.
After Carson Wentz led them there.
Okay, I understand that, but he was a backup, won him a Super Bowl. Wentz, they had Jalen Hurts drafted him in the second round for Wentz. And then when Hurts was starting, they had Minshew. They paid a lot of money for him. Paid a lot of money for Mariota to back him up when Hurts was down. And they got a big deal with Kenny Pickett to back up Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have made it clear, and it's a good decision, that a backup QB is the most valuable backup position in the NFL and is probably a top 20 position in terms of value in the NFL. I would argue a backup quarterback is more important than some starting positions. Anyway, they made enough moves. They understand the defense is lacking, especially in the secondary. Have a first-round pick like everybody. This is an A-. It's enough.
Until they get caught for tampering.
It's enough to go back and compete to try to go win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I already said my rating earlier, an A minus. Got Saquon, which is a huge, well, not a huge upgrade, but a pretty decent upgrade from DeAndre Swift. So
Interested to see Saquon finally run behind an offensive line that is going to be
that
very,
isn't
very good.
31st ranked worst O
He
line.
goes now. He's got the best offensive line probably in the league.
Yeah, he does actually.
The Pittsburgh Steelers stayed stagnant again.
Stay trash, gonna be average.
Got Patrick
again.
Queen, which I thought was a good move for them. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields is a good enough move.
C minus.
Um,
Oh my! Why do you have the same ratings?
I have a
as
C
me?
plus.
Okay, perfect.
Enough players for Pittsburgh, and now they were
Enough players to go 8-9 or 9-8 again.
They were good enough last year with Kenny Pickett, with Mason Rudolph, and Mitch Trubisky. Russell Wilson.
Hey, don't disrespect the MVP. Ever. Again.
I'm talking.
Shut up.
Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are miles better than those guys. It's not a compliment. It's just a diss on the three-headed monster for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
On Mr. Baby Hands.
It's a
Pickett.
C plus for me for Pittsburgh. I don't know if I've already said that, but I'm
Yes.
saying it again. C plus for the Steelers. It's enough. It doesn't just blow me out of the water. They made some fine other additions. They got Josh Dobbs as a QB3, Yerter Gross Matos,
Nah, he'll be QB1.
Penn State legend, and
No.
a bunch of minuscule additions to the team. But of course, the two big ones: Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. C plus.
I gave him a C minus already. Good thing they got rid of Kenny Pickett, bringing Justin Fields. Well, I think Russell Wilson's probably going to start until halfway through midseason. Gonna be good. It's gonna be pretty cool to see how they develop some of these players over the next couple of years and what they target in the draft this year.
All right, we move on now. We have, as we count these boys up right now, 4 more teams to get to here. The Seattle Seahawks is a free agency class.
So we have San Fran,
That
Seattle,
confuses
Tampa
me.
Bay, and Washington.
I don't. Where is San Francisco on this?
You gave them a C. Oh, and Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't know where I had San Fran.
Well, you have your ratings right
Okay.
here, so we'll just go with that.
Um,
We lost the papers for other important players, so we will just be giving a rating for some of the teams.
I think Josh Dobbs was actually San Fran. So,
Oh yeah, he was because he made a vlog about it and put it on YouTube. and I
yeah.
ended
So
up-
those
yeah,
players
yeah,
I
yeah.
said to the Steelers, actually the Niners. We'll get the
Yeah.
Niners out of the way because we just talked about them. I'll give San Francisco a C minus. It's okay.
There's not much they have to do
Right,
considering they already.
Yeah, I'm not gonna applaud them for making any moves.
They made an effort, right? Right, Mason? Right, Mason?
Yeah, I'm not gonna applaud them for making any no moves actually.
Come on.
Because they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I
And
mean, there's not
they
much
don't
they
need
can
to overreact. They were up 10 points in the Super Bowl. It's fine.
Maybe if Cliff Kingsbury could ran the ball and the O-line block.
Seattle and the Seahawks lost Bobby Wagner, cut a couple of guys.
Oh,
cut
for me,
Quandre-
San Fran's getting a C minus as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I was gonna give a different rating. but
cut
I mean,
Quandre
it really
Diggs,
isn't much.
cut Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
They lost their good
Quandre
beat of
Diggs is
players.
weird.
Seattle was in a spot that were they going to win a Super Bowl next year?
Who's their
No.
Who's their head coach now?
Mike McDaniel,
That's his
Ravens
name.
guy.
I thought it was. Okay, yeah, it is Mike.
Um,
Got it.
Were they going to go win a Super Bowl this year? No. Did this free agency set them back a good bit? I do think that so. Noah Fant's fine. Leonard Williams kept him in town. And then Sam Howell. They just didn't make any moves and brought in new players that I think can make an impact. I mean, Jerome Baker's fine for Seattle. They were a team last year that was like 6-2, 5-2. So they have an ability to go win games and maybe even win a playoff game, but not with this free agency class.
Geno Smith.
Geno's good, but
Yeah.
Seattle D plus. I'm not a fan.
Damn. All right, I was also gonna give him a D plus. There wasn't much that they did. Re-signing Leonard Williams was big move. Sam Howell will be their franchise quarterback for the next 20 years. So
That's it.
might be 40 now that I think about it.
Whoa. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like their free agency. Did they sign anybody new? No. Is that bad? Also, no. Baker's back. Mike Evans is back. Antoine Winfield's back.
They kept the
Levante
key
David is
pieces
back.
that they needed to make it to the
And
playoffs.
the big thing I like about Tampa Bay is all of these guys, Baker, Mike Evans, Winfield, Levante
I
David.
thought that said 171 million. I was about to flip, bro.
All those-
1 year.
all those guys were all questionable
Yeah, they just kind of kept the. Yeah, they
as
didn't really get anybody.
moving
They just
guys.
kept who they needed.
People thought Baker could be moved. Mike Evans, Winfield was like the number one. Everybody thought he was gone. Levante David as well. They brought him back, and they, pat on my back. I picked the Buccaneers as my franchise team. Look what they did.
All right, nobody cares.
the
Come on,
trend
we're not talking about
continues.
Madden here.
The trend continues. We'll see who I pick next year. Maybe the Vikings with their rookie quarterback. But Tampa Bay secured the bag. Okay? They secured what they needed to secure and a core. The only thing I'm scared about is I don't like when teams attach a lot of money into a quarterback that had one good year. Daniel Jones, Ryan Tannehill. That's what the Bucs did at Baker Mayfield. 3 years, $115 million is a lot of money for a guy that, if he would have asked for that contract 12 months ago, they would have told him he's crazy. So, $115 million over 3 years is a lot of money for a guy that you would not even give this contract to a year ago. So there's a chance he had just a good year and he falls back to earth. But I think Baker was good enough. It's a B for Tampa Bay. They should be. I wouldn't know about the favorite to win the NFC South, but if they're not,
all right, I give
them
the
in
Bucs
Atlanta.
a B as well.
Moving on, two final teams here: the Tennessee Titans and the Washington Commanders. Tennessee Titans. I'm going to give
That's
them
complete polar opposites right there.
the Titans. I'm going to give them an A plus. I like the moves they made. Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley. They got Jerry Sneed in a trade.
Ooh, Kenneth Murray.
Lloyd Cushenberry is a nice offensive lineman. Chidobe Awuzie. This was a team that I had no hope for, and they're making me have hope. Will Levis has got a little bit of a squad around him right now, and they're
But
nice.
he's got competition with Mason Rudolph and Nick Folk.
They're nice, and they realize the AFC South is no joke. There's a real chance next year it's the best division in the NFL. Houston with C.J. Stroud,
AFC
Colts with Anthony Richardson,
AFC North.
and Jags with Trevor Lawrence. They have it figured
AFC
out.
North.
Of course, they have. Can you shut the hell up?
No, but the AFC
I said
North.
that has a chance to be the best.
No, but the
okay?
AFC North.
I understand it's there, but it has a chance to be the best. You don't think it has a chance?
No, AFC North.
I'm saying, my turn, Lee Shannon Sharp. My
Actually,
turn.
the NFC North could be... No. What am I saying? The Vikings are going to be their dog shit.
I'm saying Houston, Indy, Jacksonville have three of the brightest futures in the league. Tennessee enters their
No,
name.
but the AFC North...
Tennessee enters their name. Tennessee enters their name into discussion, and they have an A plus
Yes,
for me.
I will be giving them a flat A.
A flat A.
Yes.
Okay.
The Washington Commanders did absolutely nothing in free agency.
Washington Commanders. I would love this. I love this.
Oh, they got Jeremy Chin?
I love this free agency for the Commanders.
Frankie Louvu?
If it was 2019, Austin Eckler, I just don't like.
Austin Eckler's a Madden franchise demon.
Why? Zach Ertz 1 year $5 million. Why?
It's like garbage money.
Why? I mean, you guys are not going to compete this year. Bobby
I think
Wagner.
that's why they signed everybody to 1 year deals.
Bobby Wagner 1 year 6.5. Why? What is he doing on this team? Dorrance Armstrong's fine. Tyler Biadasz, fine. Mariota 1 year $6 million. Why? Why are you spending useless money? Austin Eckler is so washed up. Brian Robinson is fine. You don't need to invest $5.5 million in a running back. This is my first F grade. My last, and on the last grade as well, it's an F for Washington. There's a reason they're picking at number 2 in the draft every year and not going to compete like some of these other clubs.
You said clubs? What is this, soccer? Get the hell out of here.
Football clubs, I tell you right now, if you don't know ball, this is from Mel Kiper, 1994 draft.
Yeah, I don't care. That's 1994.
1994.
That was when dinosaurs were still roaming there.
So-
So for me, the Commanders
That's a
get a
funny
D
story, though.
minus.
It's a funny-
They did absolutely nothing. They got absolutely no good, and they are still in a very tough division.
So Mel
You know,
Kiper.
Commanders are probably going to get a top 5 pick again next year.
Yeah. So, Mel Kiper, he's the draft guy.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and the Colts take Marshall Faulk, who was a good pick for them. But Mel Kiper wanted him to take a QB. And Mel Kiper's kind of quiet and stuff, and he gets up. This is why the Indianapolis Colts are picking at number 2 and not going to compete like some of these other clubs. This is a bonehead move by the Colts to take Marshall Faulk. They had to take Trent Dilfer, or whoever the other guy was.
Trent Dilfer.
And then they cut to the Colts owner, who just saw the clip, and he's like, the Colts owner said, I want to say something to Mel Kiper. If I'm correct, he's never put a jock strap on. He's never put a chin strap on. He's never played a down of football in his life. Who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway? He doesn't know more than my postman.
I mean, he's not wrong.
And then that's the story. Mel Kiper's still around. The Colts owner's still around.
Yeah. Commanders are ass. Moving on to March Madness.
F.
NC State upsets Duke in the Elite Eight.
The Final Four is set. We talked a little bit
DJ Birds is going to win. Is there a most valuable player for college basketball?
in the tournament, I believe.
Yes.
And then-
He will be winning. No, I'm kidding. He only had like 6 points that game.
He had like 20, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That was before all the fouls and all the free throws.
March Madness
Let's
is
go
in the
look at
Final
the
Four.
Final
It's
Four.
not a good tournament
Who
at
is it?
all.
Alabama, NC State,
Alabama,
UConn, and Purdue?
Okay, I don't know why you would say them in that order. UConn plays Bama.
Okay.
NC State plays Purdue.
Okay, so I was right on the 4 teams. I don't know the women's bracket. No, it's Iowa.
Iowa.
South
Iowa
Carolina.
Iowa versus UConn.
And then South
Carolina versus NC State. So,
okay. So
hypothetically, we could have an NC State UConn national title in both men's and women's.
That'd be pretty cool.
So that'd be interesting.
Imagine
to see.
UConn wins both. Just the women's and the boys. The boys.
The boys.
What the fuck?
The boys.
The men.
The women and the boys.
I love men.
So, this Final Four with UConn.
So who is it? It's NC State.
First off,
versus
I
UConn.
saw a nice funny thing.
No, it's NC State.
NFL,
UConn, NC State, UConn, and then
NC State,
Bama.
NC State, Purdue.
No, it's UConn and Bama. UConn, Bama.
Did you say that you heard me?
And then the women's
Let me
is
see me go
Iowa versus,
UConn. Why are you writing them down?
because I'm going to make my picks. And then NC State versus UConn. No, NC State versus South Carolina. All right. Can we get this show on the road, please?
Yeah, you spent all the time writing. What was I going to say? Yeah, DJ Burns has actually gotten some interest from NFL GMs.
Move that man to tackle.
He is 6'8". He is a tall boy.
He's definitely got good footwork considering he's playing basketball.
Yeah, I don't know how it would translate, but take a shot, right? Some NFL GMs, and I think they're actually taking it seriously. Like First Take's debating it, which isn't the standard of taking things seriously. First Take, but anyway, the Final Four predictions.
Is the man retarded?
Final Four predictions here. Let's start off with UConn and Alabama. Look, I can give you all the analysis I want, and it usually would favor UConn in this scenario.
Yeah.
They're winning by too much, and until they show any signs of struggling, I'm not going to pick against the UConn Huskies.
Give me UConn.
They go to the
over
national
Bama.
title game. Thing that makes UConn different is they have 5 players that they can go 1 through 5 at. All of them average over 10 points per game, which in college basketball is
Insane.
so rare. So UConn makes it to the national title. NC State and Purdue, it's a great matchup between
NC State is hot.
Edie and Burns. This is a statement game for Purdue. If they want to silence the doubters, Zach Edey goes out on a limb or out in a sunset. NC State, the butterfly effect. I remember watching NC State hit the bank buzzer beater, rolled around to send it to overtime in the ACC semifinal game. They would win, then they wind up winning the ACC tournament. Which, if they don't win the ACC tournament, they are an NIT team. Of course, won the ACC tournament, and now we're in the Final Four as in the number 11 seed. If they win this game, they're probably the greatest Cinderella of all time to see an 11 seed go to the national title. I Probably. I don't want to jump to too far of conclusions. Just because Loyola Chicago in 2018, 11 seeded the Final Four. A real true Cinderella is a team that we don't really know about. We know who NC State is. They're a national team. Purdue and NC State. I've picked against NC State in every round in this tournament. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pick Purdue to the national title. Zach Edey's too much, 40 points and 16 rebounds the last game, and then they have shooters on the perimeter that they can light it up with. Purdue, UConn for me in the national title.
NC State, UConn for me in the
really
national title.
NC State in the national
Dude,
title.
NC State is just hot right now. I mean,
Purdue's hot too as well.
Shut up! Look at Zach Edey. He is not hot, bro. I don't know what the hell you're talking.
Everybody right now is hot. I mean, that is still in. So NC
In
State,
the woman's bracket.
NC State, if they
UConn's winning it all though, so it doesn't really matter.
if NC State is
Damn it! Why did I choose Houston one night? Fucking national championship. Are you kidding me right now?
people watching this definitely think you have Tourette's,
No. What's Tourette's?
where you just blurt out random things in the middle of nowhere.
Only a little bit.
No,
I just like interrupting you.
if NC State
See, like this, like
is
where
to
I
go
just start talking
to the
and you're
national
talking?
title, they will be the lowest seed to ever participate in the national title. The previous lowest seed is number 8 seed, Kentucky.
When?
2011, it was actually 7 versus 8 seed in the national championship, which is weird.
Who's the 7th seed?
UConn. UConn, if they
UConn win it that year?
if UConn wins the national title, which I am going to pick them over Purdue, they cement themselves as one of the bluest of the blue bloods. There would be six national titles, all of them coming since 1999.
That's crazy.
1999, 2004, 2011, 2020, 2014, 2023, 2024, back-to-back is much harder to do in college basketball than college football just because of how quickly guys leave. UConn's able to bring a lot of guys back. They've lost 3 NBA players from last year. 3 guys right now in the NBA that are getting some minutes on a team. Jordan Hawkins, Sinogo, and I forget the other guy's name.
Good job.
But yeah, UConn I think wins the national title. I think they right now probably have about a 65% chance to win it. Can't bet against UConn, and I'm
All right, on to the women's
in-
bracket.
interested to see how far the
Iowa plays UConn.
You shut the
And
fuck up.
NC State plays South Carolina.
Iowa and UConn, what a matchup this is. My 2 favorite players in college basketball,
Paige
Caitlin
Buchers.
Clark and Paige Beckers,
Oh, it's Beckers. Fuck.
are lighting it up right now. What a huge moment for the women's game. The game against Iowa and LSU was so exciting last night between Clark
And Sid the Sloth.
and Angel Reese and Haley Van Leith and Flau'jae Rogers or something. Of
But
course,
they didn't have Caitlin Clark.
they didn't have 22. And
21.
look, UConn is the probably greatest dynasty of all time in any single sport. With Gino Arumani, or I don't know his last name. But look, I'm a casual in women's college basketball, like many people are. But I'm going to pick Iowa to go to the national title
Thank
game.
you. I will also be choosing Iowa. So it'll be
NC State and South Carolina. South Carolina, the second consecutive year, undefeated.
37-0.
Undefeated in the regular season. I think they're too much for NC State. NC State had a nice run, but I think USC.
Don't
No,
ever say
South
that again.
Carolina moves on to the national title game.
For me as well. South Carolina will move on.
South Carolina and UConn or Iowa in the national title game. I'm going to pick it logical. Of course, I love Caitlin Clark, but South Carolina is
They have
undefeated.
they have better players all around
Undefeated,
than just one Caitlin Clark.
I'll take South
South
Carolina
Carolina.
to win the national title game.
Yes.
So let's close it out here with.
You should ask if they think that Caitlin Clark is the best or brings the most viewers. I don't know, whatever you were saying last night with Luke.
Anyway, whatever this guy's saying.
Oh, my bad.
Final question. Final topic. Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce.
See Le'Veon Bell starting in OnlyFans?
Yeah, we got to dive into that for about
Yes.
an hour. Antonio Pierce, our final topic on the day. Antonio Pierce had a quote for
Oh, my bad.
J.J. McCarthy He says that he's a proven winner, national champion, and it is a mind-boggling thing that he is
Because an
not,
NFL coach is going to say that.
he is not a top 3 QB in the draft. And we've seen this a couple of times. Actually, funny, the last 2 guys were both what do we call it?
I don't know.
Draft risers were both drafted by the Titans. Malik Willis got a lot of traction, fell to the 3rd round, picked by the Titans. Will Levis, if you remember at draft day last year, he was going to be the number 2 pick, fell to the 2nd round. That might be the same case with J.J. McCarthy. He has moved from 5,000 plus 5,000 to plus 400 odds to be the number 2 pick. Is the hype overblown on J.J. McCarthy? Is he the real deal, or is he both?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Shocker, he always plays both sides.
No shit. There's not always one correct answer. You can't say he's got too much hype, considering he is a pretty good quarterback and helped Michigan to the NCAA state championship.
Here's how I would do it. Among the NFL sphere of GMs and coaches, he's overrated. Amongst the average fan,
He's an XFL quarterback.
he is extremely underrated. So it's 2 areas that are just so far away. Just because he didn't throw the ball a lot in college doesn't mean he can't.
I mean, he went to IMG. There, he was playing top talent in high school.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
it's not like. Granted, he had better talent on his team, but like, he started at IMG, so he's clearly not that bad of a quarterback.
So we'll see how he plays out.
He got recruited by Michigan. They weren't expecting a crappy quarterback.
We
so-
have 3 podcasts until the NFL draft, which will be a lot of fun to get and dive into. Until then, we will see you folks next Tuesday for April the 9th. We'll see what we'll talk
Tuesday, in it.
about. It's Tuesday, isn't it? The tournaments will both be done. We'll see how
We'll
that
have
goes.
our winners.
And whatnot. And then we'll get to more NFL topics. And we might do some NFL draft hot takes. We'll try to give a couple of hot takes and see how that'll go.
McCarthy will be, or Caleb Williams will fall to the second overall.
Okay. Until the
No,
next
you won't,
time.
guys. Don't
Until
take
the
it
next time,
seriously.
we will see you folks later.
Bye.
And talking about balls.